Clare Baker, United Union International Officer and Freedom for Ocalan Campaign, one of the spokesperson. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you. So the main topic is freedom for Öcalan and the isolation on Kurdish leader as well. So you also had a report that states that Abdullah Öcalan is held in the most extreme conditions of isolation of any political prison in Europe. How has that situation come about? And can you give us a little more details from that report as well? Very short, very briefly. Thank you.
Well, yes, I mean, Öcalan is the Kurdish political leader. His writings of women's liberation, ecology, grassroots democracy has inspired huge swathes of people across the world. Not just the Kurdish community, or the left across the world has been very much inspired by Öcalan's writings. But in terms of his isolation, this inspiration has obviously given rise to Rojava in northeast Syria, the society that's being built there based on his writings, and also the Kurdish political movement in Turkey itself. And this is a direct threat to the Turkish state, who is moving in a much more authoritarian and conservative trajectory. And so the isolation of Öcalan is an attempt to isolate his ideas and to isolate the Kurdish community and the diaspora completely itself as well. Isolate, their movement, the ideas that they have, and the democracy that they have. And this is not new in Turkey. Obviously the attacks on the Kurdish culture, the Kurdish language, and the community as a whole has been a continuous thing, but it's getting worse and worse under Erdogan. And the isolation of Öcalan is the tip of this attack on the Kurdish people by the Turkish state. So, obviously there has been peace talks in the past with Öcalan. The AKP party have spoken to him in the past, but since they broke down, which the government itself ended, Öcalan's isolation has got worse and worse, and it is the embodiment of the isolation of the Kurdish people themselves.
Secondly, what impact does this policy of isolation have on the broader Kurdish freedom movement in Turkey as well? And how do you gauge the level of support that Öcalan enjoys within that community and within the diaspora as well?
I think his isolation obviously inspires the Kurdish political movement to keep on struggling to gain peace, to gain democracy, to gain liberation, both within Turkey itself and with outside of its borders. He's in the most extreme situation. His isolation for many, many years, since 1999, his situation is the most extreme. And I think that they are emboldened by that, emboldened that he still fights and he still struggles for the liberation of the Kurdish people, but also for the liberation of all people who want peace, democracy, and women's liberation. So I think it emboldens them, this isolation. They obviously want it to end, but they will struggle all the time he's in isolation. They will continue their struggle for his freedom and for their own democracy, for their own freedom as well. So yeah, they're criminalized. The Kurdish people are criminalized all over the world, and despite this, they carry on this struggle. So Öcalan, he's a symbol for them to rally around and to be inspired by. And as long as he is in prison and as long as he is in isolation, I believe that the Kurdish people will continue to struggle for him.
Just before we go for the role of the trade unions support to Öcalan, I would like to ask you also how much support is there for Öcalan in the international community, first of all?
Well, I suppose it depends on what part of the international community we're talking about. Ordinary working people, trade unions, civil society are extremely supportive of Öcalan when they find out about him. It's a very silent situation across, many ordinary people don't know about Öcalan. They don't know the situation that he faces. And that's a deliberate thing that's happened by the international political community. The political community internationally are very, very reliant on Turkey, both geopolitically, in terms of the refugees that Turkey holds inside its borders. In terms of all the Middle East, Turkey is very pivotal, and the international community are beholden to Turkey. They are blackmailed by Turkey. They don't want to upset Turkey, so they have to do that Turkey's bidding, basically. So do not speak out against Öcalan's incarceration. They are silent on the situation that faces the Kurds more generally. And then that feeds down across into, the countries that they're in. So across Europe, across the UK, ordinary men and women don't know about Öcalan because of it has been kept very, very silent. And it is helpful for the Europeans and for the international community to keep this silent, to keep Turkey on board.
As a one of the leading name in the UK trade unions Freedom for Ocalan campaign, what role can the trade unions movement play in the struggle to free Öcalan, do you think? Very shortly, please.
Well, we can continue to advocate for him. We have links in the political community. We can make sure that our MPs, whatever country the trade union is in, we can make sure that our MPs and MEPs, members of Congress, etc., know who Öcalan is, what the situation is, and why it's important for him to be free in order for him to play his part in a peace process in the Middle East. So we can play an important role there. We're mobilizing against the Turkish state's militarization, their aggression within North Iraq and Northeast Syria, the impending one into Northeast Syria as well. So we can do lots of things, and we can mobilize lots of people and educate lots of people about Öcalan's situation and keep the pressure on the international political community to ensure his freedom.
Dear Clare Baker, United Union International Officer and Freedom for Ocalan campaign, one of the spokesperson, thanks for joining us. Thank you for your valuable comments today.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.